Good evening, everyone. Today we have organized a session titled as "Marx Jihad: An Attempt by Leftist Subversion in Delhi University," and our chief speaker is Mr. Rakesh Kumar Pandey sir from Kirorimal College. Mr. Rakesh Kumar Pandey sir is an associate professor in the physics department of Kirorimal College, University of Delhi. He has been working as a professor since the last 31 years. He is an avid reader and contributes to various blogs. He is also active on social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter. His hobbies include singing as well, and he's a devout Hindu and a true nationalist at heart. We welcome you, sir, to the 8th session of SAMVAAD, the Open Discussion Forum.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Vinayak.
So, sir, we request you to give an overview regarding the statement that you had come up with in the month of October 2021 regarding Marx Jihad. We want you to explain it to the fullest.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Vinayak, for giving me this opportunity to say something that I was thinking. I think I was uh, very perturbed when in the last year itself I noticed that there is some certain trend that could have been seen in the admission during the last year itself. And one of the colleges in which I was not our college, but some another college. I saw that there is a chunk of first cut-off seats that were grabbed by the students from one particular board. But what bothered me most was that all of them had 100% cut-off percentage. Okay, see uh, in the first cutoff, going seats to one particular board is not a problem. Nothing can be seen into it. But if all of them are having 100%, I think last year the cutoff, the college for which I am talking about, they had cut off something like 99.5%. Okay, but even in 99.5%, those who were coming from Kerala board, they were having full 100% as their cutoff. So this gave me showed me some kind of a warning sign. So I started inquiring about it. Okay, I'm talking about the admission of the last year itself. Okay, and then I tried. I'm only a teacher over here, so the database are generally kept in the university, and these days the admissions are done centrally, so all the data are there in the database of the Delhi University Computer Center. So it is very difficult to ask for such data, but because of some connection here and there, I could get some data from the university. And then I saw that within 3-4 years, okay, I had written a blog also in the month of December 2020 only, in which I had mentioned those figures, okay, that I had got from the university. It was shown that uh, in the year 2017, I think 16 or 17, the 100 percenters, those who took admission uh, in the Delhi University, uh, the 100 percenters were the number of 100 percenters were very small. Okay, it was around 2 3 something like 8 or 9, something like that. I think three was the number in 2016, and then it jumped to 200 in 2019. And in 2020, the last year in which I was just inquiring about, in that year it jumped to around 300. Okay, so going from 2016, where you had only 3 seats from Kerala board, I'm talking about Kerala board only. Okay, so from Kerala board, 3 people were there with 100% marks in 2016, and then it jumped to 200 in 2019. And 2019, you must notice that in 2019 you did not have that corona kind of situation in which people were giving open book kind of examination. Okay, so 2019 was proper examination. And so jump from 3 to 200 from a particular state, which is, I would say that language wise, it should not be, Delhi is not very comfortable for a Kerala students. Okay, I mean, some of them can always explore and adventure, but coming as a mass scale from three, jumping from 3 to 200, that gave me some inkling that something must be investigated. And in 2020 it jumped to 300. So I just wrote a blog that it seems that there is something trend, because 100% is something that must be considered in a different, that must be seen in a different context. Because 100%, the way in which we do admission over here in the university, if you have 100%, then nobody can deny you admission anywhere in any of the subject. Okay, that is the thing, because 100% cutoff marks, the student starts ruling the admission. Okay, you cannot stop them to take admission, because you cannot, the way in which the university can stop or limit a number of students is that they can put a high cutoff. High cutoff means 100%, you cannot go more than that. And if you cannot limit the number of students even with 100% cutoff, then it seems that there is some strategy must be behind this, because and the loophole or the gap that was there in our admission system, I thought that probably there is some group who is going to, who is trying to exploit this gap in their favor. Okay, so uh, I wrote this and I just said that this is a warning. The title itself mentions that the warning trend in the admission. And when I related this to the development that was happening in JNU, because we all know, I mean, all those who know leftists better, they all know that the way in which they grab the education institutions, the space there. Because I generally give this example that JNU, people would say that they are good students. I mean, good students and bad students are there of all ideologies. Okay, but if you start picking up good students only from your ideology, then only you can create a situation like JNU has or had. Okay, because you just come out of the university, and you would see that the ideological, demographical, the ratios are different outside the JNU, and it is different inside the JNU. The way in which they claimed that they were doing admissions. Okay, there must be some hidden kind of a strategy through which they must be identifying people of their ideology, and they must be giving them the admission. And so it was not a very plain, transparent marks basis on which they were giving admissions. Okay, they had some kind of a criteria which could have been exploited in favor of putting putting some weightage to some another kind of considerations. Okay, so that is why we see the output is there, because when you see that through the years, decades and decades, JNU had some kind of a political uh, political inclination. Okay, and everybody can see that. How come I mean, if you are picking up students on their own, just as we do it in Delhi University. Delhi University has a very plain mechanical kind of a admission criteria, and so the number of students who come over here, they are all distributed with different ideologies, and the distribution is same as what you see in Indian society. Okay, you do not see 90% of people from a leftist ideology in general in Indian society. So how come it becomes different in a particular institution? It happens because they adopt some kind of a strategy to favor students who have who belong to their ideology, and or who have some promises that they would have some inclination towards their ideology, and so they were using those methods to give admission or to prefer admissions to those person. And since JNU was going through a phase in which their grip on the administration and the admission on in the JNU, they were getting out of their hands, from the hands of the leftists. So I thought that probably they must be thinking of some way to hold some space in education institution in Delhi. And Delhi University had an admission procedure which they thought that they could have exploited. So probably I thought that probably this could be one of the reasons. And the only way, the best way uh, to dictate terms in the admission of the university is that if you have 100% marks of the students, then you can actually place them wherever you would like to. You can actually place. If I let us say give you 500 students and ask you to place them anywhere in this university, it was very easy to place them. You just have to assign them, allocate them 100% cutoff marks, and then ask them कि अच्छा these 50 people would go to Hindu college to get admission in political science, these 50 would go to commerce, SRCC commerce, and these 20 would go to so you can actually assign them. The number of seats also becomes very irrelevant. Okay, because all those who know how the main thing, when I raised this issue, the main problem for me happened because many of you, almost or those who do not belong to DU, they do not know what is the procedure or what is the method of admission in the DU. Okay, they always thought that if you have 20 seats for a course, you cannot take more than 20. But this is not the case. We all know that if you have 20 seats and if you have put 100% cutoff, but if you have 200 people coming, 200 students coming up with 100% marks, you cannot deny any one of them. Okay, so even with 20 seats that you have notionally, you will have to admit 200 people who have 100% marks. So this is something that is not known to general people. Okay, it is not very I would say logical or normal kind of a thing. So normally people would not think that anybody having 100% would always get an admission, because there must be some seats, and so when set seats are filled, there must be some way to restrict or limit students. Okay, but this does not happen in DU, and only those who know this thing, they only know that this is an aspect that can be exploited. And not only that, man, the problem is that once we have, let's say, 20 seats for a particular course, okay, out of that 50% goes to UR. Okay, and for that you had put, let us say, 100%, and then 200 admission took place, and this 200 admission would be taken as if you have admitted them in under UR category only. Okay, so once you have admitted them, then the other category will have to admit them after that. Okay, so 200 admission in the first cutoff would mean basically that you'll have to go for 400 admission. Okay, because you'll have to fulfill the requirement of reservation also. So all those who have taken in the first cutoff would be taken as if they are, even if they belong to, and in Kerala cases, And we have seen now the data are there, in which 100 percenters are all of them, and they belong to SC also, they belong to ST also, they belong to OBC very majorly. And OBC, they are major OBC comes from a particular Muslim community itself. Okay, so all those come, but they all would be taken as UR candidates. Okay, so how the number of seats that you have already exceeded, now you are bound to take double than that, because you will have to fulfill the reservation criteria. The whole criteria, the reservation, the admission process itself gets exposed, hmm, very exposed. You cannot limit admission, or the process itself means that you'll have to do something so that the seats, the number of seats that you have, you'll have to contain the number of admission like that. But in this case, you cannot. So only those, I am sure that only those who knew that this can happen, and they can only think of um, doing something like this. One argument that I already faced, that how do you know that all of them who have come, they all belong to one kind of a ideology? I never said that. I never meant that also. But I know this thing, that if you want to control the politics, students' politics, let's say, in DU, then how many activists you would require? How many activists you would require? Because whenever a dharna happens, or let's say a julus happens, you need only 500. You only need a 500 to actually occupy the political students' political space in DU. Okay, nobody would be able to avoid you. Nobody would be able to ignore you. You would actually be able to control over student politics if you have 500 dedicated activists with you. Dedicated means they are all from different states, so they would be living here without their parents. So they would come to a place on a call in half an hour. Okay, so if you can bring 500, if you can collect 500 students on a call in half an hour, you can actually rule students politics in the university. Okay, so you do not know, if even if you have let's say this year also, I think around 2000 admission happened in first year from Kerala board, more than 2000. Okay, the number of applicants were around 4820 something. Okay, number of applicants, 100%, having 100% cutoff from Kerala board itself, were 4,800 something. Okay, and out of that, only 2,300 got admit. I mean, took admission. I would not say got, because all of them were getting. So only 2,300 took admission, because admission. I mean, admission is one thing, but once you take admission, you'll have to come over here. You'll have to spend also around 15,000 or 20,000 rupees per month if offline teaching starts happening. Okay, so admission is one thing, but I mean, if you are able to spend 15,000 to 20,000 rupees per month, then only you can think of living in Delhi and continuing your studies. So probably because of that, and so that gave me some another angle also, that probably is there some agency which is funding actually, how come all those numbers who I mean applied for admission, and this is a huge number which is coming, and this is a huge number, this is showing some kind of a trend, because last year it was 300, now it has got more than 200 2000. Okay, so if somebody says that this is just an innocent trend, nothing should be seen behind it, then what is then why do we study statistics then? Okay, if you have some statistics which is showing some unusual behavior, then that is where you need to, and that is how we are also trained. I mean, if you are looking at if you are sitting in a bus and you are seeing some two bags which are not being claimed by anybody, you want to raise alarm, isn't it? So that is what is all uh, good, all those who have good civil sense, they are supposed to raise concerns, isn't it? So when I saw this trend, I raised concern, okay, that there could be a design, okay, and if an investigation happens and somebody comes up with a data or reasoning saying that there was nothing behind, let it be, okay. But I don't think that it can be proved, because there are reasons. I mean, earlier also, uh, I think in the 80s until 90s, people used to come from Bihar and UP in large numbers. Okay, and then it shifted to Rajasthan and Haryana also, coming for taking admission in Delhi University. Okay, but Bihar, Haryana, Rajasthan, UP, all these are language wise very convenient for students to come and stay over here. Okay, language wise also, and other considerations also, it is easier to get adjusted, because once you are here, you are not only to converse only in the class. Okay, you'll have to deal with people on the vendor also. Okay, street vendors also, you'll have to deal with rickshaw wall also, you'll have to communicate with all those. So you'll have to keep on talking in terms in Hindi or in English. Okay, and I saw this also, that those who were coming from Kerala last year itself, okay, many of them were not able to converse either in Hindi or in English. Okay, and I know that there are teachers who are finding it very difficult to communicate it in the class with them. And not only communication, but there was something, if somebody wants to fill up an exemption form, in order to help them out, it was very difficult. How to tell them that this, you do this and you do this, you press this button, you fill up this form, you so even these things, the people who were finding it difficult to communicate with those students. Okay, so even if, I mean, the 5 students are there, even if 5 students are having this kind of a problem, why are they coming? Okay, all those who are not comfortable in doing communication, okay, and they would come to know in 1 month, 2 months, 3 months time, and they would look for other avenues. And mind it that they are not normal students, they are 100%ers. So they would not never, they should never put their career to any risk, isn't it? Because they are 100%ers, they would love to maintain their percentages in their career. Okay, so if they are coming over here at that cost, okay, let it be, chalo marks kam aa jaye, koi baat nahi, whether I pass or I fail doesn't matter. So what does that mean? Whether they are coming from for study or they are coming for something else. Okay, so I would not say that all 100%ers could be like that, but if there was a design, then anybody with political agenda, some political ambitions, some political strategy can very simply implement this policy and get their cadre. Ah, if 2,300 admission has happened, then if out of this number, if 500, 800 are there, which are not supposed, which are not supposed to get the 100% mark, and they have got it, then nobody can say that this could not have happened. Okay, so there can always be a possibility like this, and the possibility was something that I was indicating on. Okay, so I raised this issue, and the way in which I was trolled on social media, and I was made to face so many things, that actually confirmed my apprehensions that whatever I was thinking probably was correct, because I said something which they had planned, and they thought that they're getting exposed, and that is why in a day only, the day in which I just wrote that some kind of a Marx Jihad. Okay, Mark Jihad, I later explained also that this is jihad because jihad is generally understood in the way that when you want to spread your religion, jihad is that spreading your religion. Okay, uh, you want that Islam should be everywhere. Everybody should follow Islam. That the effort that you make for that is probably called as jihad, and that is how we understand. And whatever whatever means they can give certain meaning to that also. But this is the way in which we normal people understand jihad. Jihad means that if somebody wants to spread uh, Islam, and somebody wants that Islam should be everywhere. This is you'll have to make an effort, and that effort is known as jihad. Okay, and the way in the same way, I saw that there is a design to spread a particular ideology in DU, and this is spreading of ideology through some design which is not academic, and so I named it as Marx Jihad. And the moment I just put this, that day itself, I got so many calls from Kerala, Kerala news agencies. Okay, all of them started talking to me. They all wanted me to explain. They all wanted me to say something or withdraw. Okay, the idea was to get on to me and to make me withdraw so that it comes over as a news that there was nothing of that sort, and he had to withdraw because he could not. He made a statement which was not correct. Okay, but I did not withdraw. I started giving them the data. Okay, and this year the data was abundant. Okay, the last year also I had some data, but last year one could have said that you are saying something which is uh, beyond some expectation. But this time the data was there, and the as the data came, they actually had to go on defensive mode. Okay, and later on I heard that even Kerala, once the first step was the Kerala education minister wrote a letter to the education minister over here, asking the education minister to take action against me. Okay, and that letter came to the university after that, and the university wrote back to the college also, asking them to talk to me and find some kind of an explanation. Okay, but uh, later on, I heard that even the chief minister of Kerala, he also had to say that I'll have to find that why so many number of students are going to Delhi DU. Okay, so there was, I mean, they had to explain. They had to explain why, what is happening, what is the health of education going down in Kerala. Because of that, people are going out. Because the unless until you say that something wrong is happening in Kerala state, and that is why people are going, students are going out. Otherwise, you cannot explain this phenomena. The unusual jump in going to a state which is not very comfortable to the students. Okay, the CBSE students probably were better, but Kerala students, I don't know. I also don't have this idea that probably the Kerala State Board, they take Malayalam probably as their first language, and they stick to that itself. So they do not put much effort in understanding Hindi or English. So that is why, if you compare it with the CBSE students, probably in English or something, the CBSE students must be better. But Kerala students, they were probably better in Malayalam only, and that is why I saw that they were not fearing any communication when they were coming over here. Okay, so the trends were such that it was very hard to explain, even for the education minister in Kerala or the chief minister. They were feeling it very difficult to explain. Asking me something is always they could have always done, and they did. But through that, they also got to this data that they also need to explain something. They also need to explain that why is there a trend in which I am seeing a jump, okay, in the number, and that too of 100%ers. Okay, if you look at, I mean, I did not have all the data, but the way in which the university kept on giving us the data, it said that 4,824 applications were received. Okay, and the statement was that they all of them were having 100%, almost all of them had 100% cutoff percentages. Okay, now the thing is that if so, which means that 99 percenters were not there. Hmm. Now this is also one must think why 99% did not find it worthwhile to come to DU. Why 98% did not find it worthwhile to come to DU? Why did not they apply? So there is a design. So I would say that there must be a design. Okay, once I mean you identify that these students are to be sent to the DU, so you just give them marks. Okay, and then occupy the seats. Okay, so giving them marks for a particular strategy, under a particular strategy to achieve something, for me this is marks jihad, and I stick to that, and I'm sticking to that itself. And right now also, it's good that university took note of that, and they I think analyzed the data also, and ultimately the cutoff percentages, the criteria under which we were doing admissions, they were already exposed, and so we had to shift to another kind of method, and I think they have decided now to shift to uh, exams, okay, tests, and next time hopefully the test would be implemented, and the this kind uh, of a grabbing of seats or planning some strategy would be probably denied from next time, and so the uh, uh, main concern of central university is that under a class, the demography of the class should not be one-sided. Okay, and so whether it is from Delhi only, that is also not good. Only from Kerala also it is not good. Okay, so you want some kind of a metro or multicultural kind of a environment in a class, and that is what is Central University is supposed to have. And with examination in place, I think the test in place, we would be able to achieve that. I think this is what I wanted to uh, convey to all of you, and I hope that I have made you understand what I felt behind this whole episode. Thank you very much.
Thank, thank you, sir, for your wonderful insights. Now we will go ahead with the question answer session. So I have a list of questions that I want to ask you from on the behalf of curious students who wanted to know more about this concept. So if you are fine with it, shall I begin?
Sure, sure, sure.
So, sir, you have explained this concept. Now, the second question that arises is, why does this group want to infiltrate, and what are all those things that they will gain, and why should we be worried? The meritorious students or those from the opposite side should be worried, and how after entering into central universities, these forces are subverting the overall academic, political, and intellectual environment within the premises of the central universities.
See, I have also always found, leftist ideology is one thing, but their character is such that they do not allow democracy to grow at any place. Okay, that is what I've always seen. I do not. I would not say that the leftists should not be anywhere, any corner, but they must have a corner to which they should they belong to, and they uh, must be there itself, but not occupying the whole space. Okay, because once they occupy the whole space, what happens is what we have seen in JNU. Okay, the whole character, the national character, the national feeling of the students, that gets the priority of that becomes lower somehow, and other things come into uh, their so this is kind of a tilted twisted priority in which they start praising anything that happens to be any development that goes against the national interest, and anything that goes there the idea of national interest is also very twisted for them. They start praising the terrorists. They start seeing reasons behind uh, becoming a terrorist. Okay, they start finding justification in becoming a terrorist. Okay, they find they start finding justification in all those things which goes on to break the unity and integrity of our nation. Okay, so this kind of a strategy, if they have a space, but and they should live with that space. But once they start uh, in under some planning, they start to occupy the space that does not belong to them. Okay, I am just I have apprehension that that should not be done. Okay, they should be limited to the space in which they should belong to. Okay, so the university in which we are in, we know that we have a space in which democratically all of the ideologies, they are allowed to grow. Okay, we do not have in DU. We know that we do not prefer a student because of their ideology. Okay, we do not favor a student because of their ideology. But all everywhere where this particular group starts working, they plan and they make rules to keep on somehow growing their own idea, people from their own ideology. So that is how I thought that this is not very good for the health of a good central university like Delhi University. Mm.
So, does the concept of Marx Jihad only pertain to the state of Kerala, or are other states also involved in it, where the left elements have a stronghold and they are controlling the government machinery and they are overpowering the Hindu community?
I would again say that the leftists are now basically present in Kerala. If you look at the whole country, so basically they are in their presence are now felt can be felt only in Kerala, and to some extent West Bengal also. Okay, but West Bengal is something which has passed a phase of leftism, and it has come to now jihadism. Okay, so that is how I worry about leftism only because of this, that they just create a path, and that path leads to jihadism. Ultimately, if you look at what happened after the election this year in West Bengal. Okay, it is very difficult to say that it was India. Okay, in which you do not see anything happening in any other state. What happened in West Bengal? A party which won an election, and after that, it started uh, I mean, punishing the opposition. This is not seen anywhere in India, but this happened. This is something which is only a jihadi element can understand, and what we used to read in during the Mughal Kal or during foreign invasion, Islamic invasions. Okay, something that happened those times, something that happened in Afghanistan, something that happened IS, something like that was happening in West Bengal after the election. Okay, so the character of that state becomes different from the character of India that we know. Okay, so leftist ideology actually gives a path to that kind of a it gives a space for them to grow, and in that process even the leftist loses their own space also. So it is a suicidal kind of ideology. It it uh, uh, it uses itself to ultimately make jihadism or that element to grow. Okay, so at the cost of them, because you do not see leftists growing in Pakistan, because the work of leftist has already been done there. So they do not. You would not see that kind of a thing in Afghanistan. You would not see Syria. But in order to come to that stage, leftists were used. Okay, so that is the path on which we should not go. We must put a brake on those paths, and we must put leftists to and we control them to an extent in which they do not make uh, West Bengal out of this India.
Sir, why nobody else other than you was able to observe this very closely? Or if the others had, why didn't they object to this, or they chose to remain ignorant deliberately? And how did you face the criticism and reactions from your colleagues and students from the leftist ideology? Were you able to counter them or kneel them down with your wit and experience?
See, initially itself, I mean, when I raised this, so there were different kinds of uh, opinion that were coming. Okay, even those who generally belong to nationalist ideology also, they were also initially very apprehensive about this, and they were thinking that probably I'm going far than what I should have. But the data started, because when data started speaking itself, then people started understanding also. Otherwise, they were probably thinking, many of us were probably thinking that this is a local phenomena in our college only or in particular subject only. When you do not see the phenomena and on a whole canvas, okay, then you would try to think that this is only a local thing. In our college, in our course, something is happening. Okay, but when you look at from that perspective, okay, Kerala is a small state. Okay, it has very small number of students. Okay, and if out of those students, uh, 4,000 applicants are coming, okay, and it cannot be without any design. Okay, it cannot be without design. And a state where the education is supposed to be very good, the infrastructure is, they claim that our infrastructure is very good. We have a very good education in our state, and from that state, where the number of students are very small, but out of that, when a large number of students starts applying, and then if you think that there is nothing behind it, I think. So people started. I probably I could notice it because of some reason. Because last year itself, I was attached to. I was talking to a person who was uh, doing admissions in a particular college, and I saw a trend. And then last year it was just a warning kind, but this time it was visible. Okay, so last year I could have felt difficulty in making people to understand. Okay, but this year, when I raised this issue on the first day of admission itself. Okay, so data was not there, so people were apprehensive. People were holding themselves back. कि क्या है नहीं देखते हैं. But in 2-3 days itself, when the first cutoff was admission was complete, data was there, everybody to see. 100%ers taking admission in Dayal College also. 100%er taking admission in ARSD College also. Okay, without design, 100%er would always come to either Hindu College or SRCC, isn't it? Why should they go to IRSD? Can anybody tell me this? Why? If there is no design, if you are not assigned some places, you go to this place, you go to that place. Even if there it is not like that, why should one go? So people started seeing, and people were actually our country and our made up and Hindu mindset is like that only. We are very adjusting. Okay, we try to make adjustments. Okay, and this is how Hindus are like that only. Okay, we are always trying to make adjustments. Okay, so people thought क्या हो गया, ठीक है admission हो रहे हैं but the idea, the if there is a design and if you do not expose it at a right time, then after some time you won't be able to do anything. You'll have to be under the circumstances. You won't be able to achieve anything. So it is always better to raise concerns at a right point. And I think people started seeing initially the way in which the leftists work. No, they would initially make so much hue and cry that they would pin you down, and they would make you accept the make you I mean withdraw your statement. And once you withdraw your statement, they would win. Okay, and their strategy would win. Okay, so but that did not happen. And after 2-3 days, they also started saying, I've seen people saying कि नहीं ठीक है, but you shouldn't have said jihad. You shouldn't. Why jihad? No, your concerns are right. It seems that there is something, but why jihad? So it came down to that level. So people started understanding. I think ultimately it prevailed more or less.
So, are you planning to publicize your findings on this incident, which is now amongst us? It is being seen as a truth, and and this would replace the notion that this was a conspiracy theory. Are you planning to publicize this in any which way?
I would be writing something. I'm in the process of doing it, but I'm trying to get some data from this year's admission also. So once I get that, then only my theory, my article would be complete. My whatever my apprehensions are there. So this would give some kind of an indication to other universities also or other places also to be aware of such happenings. Okay, so I would be publishing something. I'm in the process of writing that.
And sir, are marks jihad and the other concept of UPSC jihad correlated to each other?
See, UPSC jihad is something in which the religion is there. Okay, it is there. Here also, if you investigate, I don't know whether that angle would be, because unless until I have data, I would not comment like that. But whatever data I have, whatever I could get, I know that there is large number of OBC admissions happened with Muslim students. Okay, so whether that kind of because Kerala is a is a place where you know that already 40% Muslims are there. So anyway, if you take 100 admission, 40 are expected to be Muslims. Okay, if it is more than that, then only you would say that there is some trend to be concerned about. Okay, so unless until that data is there, that if out of the admission that happened this year, if it is 40 more than 40% from a particular community, a Muslim are taking place, then there could be some another angle. Okay, so until that data is there, I would not make comment on that. Okay, but UPSC Jihad is was something different. Okay, it has that religious overtones only. Okay, because some uh, strategy they wanted to occupy.
So, where do the nationalist or Indic forces in DU and other central universities stand in today's scenario? And please elaborate this in terms of the intellectual aspects.
See, intellectually, till 5 years back, the nationalist thinking was never there in intellectual space. You could not have praised any Hindu sentiment without getting countered. Okay, countered kya? You were just pinned down. You were uh, you were said that you are a Sangi. You are Sangi means they have this kind of a Sangi means that you do not read, you are not a learned person, you are just mindless people who just follow something. You do not, you are a conservative, you are a
There is
women
there,
basher.
there is another term that they use, that is andhbhakt.
हाँ, वो एक ही चीज मिलाते हैं वो, but they basically mean that all those who go for nationalist concerns or who call themselves Hindu, they are conservative, they are superstitious, they are anti-women, they are anti everything. Okay, so this is a narrative that they have built, and over the years, this is not a 1 year work. This is, I think, centuries. Centuries have been invested by them to make this kind of a narrative. Okay, so the moment you call Hindu means only casteism for them. Okay, there is nothing beyond that. Way there is nothing. All those shastras are nothing. Okay, but this has start changing now. Okay, now people are seeing that there are many things which are much better in Hinduism than any other thing. Okay, the way in which Hinduism tells us to be united uh, despite having different kind of beliefs. Okay, despite having different types of concerns, despite having different. So this is, I think, I cannot give you any other example other than Hinduism, in which people from different kinds of ideologies, different kinds of concerns, different kinds of thinking, different kinds of, and they live together very happily. Okay, we have this kind of a attitude only कि ठीक है ये उसकी सोच है. He must be thinking in his way. This is my thinking. Okay, I can keep my thinking, you can keep your thinking. This is probably never seen in any other culture. Okay, they would all like everybody to start thinking in the same way. Okay, whether you talk of Islam, whether you talk of Christianity, whether you talk of communism also, because communism is also a religion. For me, I have in this episode also I said this thing many times, that for me communism and jihadism is the same, because they also do the same. They would say Islam would like everybody to follow Islam. Christianity would like everybody to worship in the same way, and communism would like nobody to worship. Okay, so they have also unifying lenses. Okay, they want everybody to behave in a in the same manner. Okay, but Hinduism is a concept in which we do not ask everybody to behave. We accept that everybody is different, and that is how we have as many number of gods as many people we have. I think 33 crore we say, लेकिन 33 crore तब था जब हम 33 crore थे. Now, if we are 140 crores, I would say that now we have 140 crores because there are so many. We can keep creating gods. We are at a place. This land actually we create God. Sachin Tendulkar bhi God hai. So we can create gods. Okay, so we have n number of. We do not have scarcity of gods. Okay, so because we think that everybody is different. This is only in Hinduism, in which we allow to accept that everybody is different. Okay, so everybody should be different, and we should be adjusting ourselves. हम आज ये कर रहे हैं, कल मैं भी चेंज कर जाता हूँ. I can change myself. Okay, I am thinking now to worship Durga. Other day I would start thinking of worshipping Ganesh ji. Okay, so we keep on changing. हमने तो आज हम लेफ्टिज्म को देख, कल उनको लेफ्टिज्म की कोई बात अच्छी भी लगती है, दैट द वे दे अप्रोच एट सम. लेकिन बस ये होता है कि उनका स्पेस होना चाहिए, दे शुड बी लिमिटेड टू सम. दैट इज व्हाट. अदरवाइज देर आर फ्यू एस्पेक्ट्स वेयर we can actually think that how they have united themselves, how they have built up an ecosystem to live, grow, and protect themselves. Okay, and even the number is less, they are able to protect themselves. They are able to still grow at some spaces. Okay, so we must learn these things. Okay.
Yes, sir, they have mastered the art of mobilizing masses and uh, telling them to act upon what they say.
This is what they study. They do not study anything else. Once a leftist activist, they know how to pick up a cause and how to pursue that. Okay. So that is what they are master about. Mm.
So, sir, there are some more questions at my end. So, if there is time at your disposal, can we continue with this, or can we
As as
can we
was men-
conclude the session, or can we continue with the questions if there is time at your disposal?
if you have very relevant questions
I will.
left with you,
Yes, sir. I will.
maybe.
I will. I will ask them in a
Mhm.
concrete manner.
Okay, let's see.
So, sir, what are the ways in which now that the Duta has got a nationalist head uh, at the helm of affairs, so how are Mr. A.K. Bhagi and his team planning to bringing in innovative plans in store to introduce books that have within them the Indic ideology and the decolonial ideology within the within the university curriculum, as far as you know that since ages we have been reading about Gandhi and Ambedkar without any alterations. So, are there any innovative plans being planned by them to break this monotony?
See, the Duta is not supposed to directly get involved in this, but one thing is sure that the Duta that we had earlier to our this Bhagi's presidentship, that Duta we have seen for years together, and they work on a particular kind of a format. They keep nurturing the deficiencies in the system. They keep maintaining the whatever uh, the system is not giving you. They would never try to satisfy you. Okay, because they know that their ideology that grows only when you are at a receiving end. Okay, So they would keep you at a receiving end. That was the main problem, because uh, the current, I would just give you one example, that there was a regulation that our government had uh, implemented, and this, according to this regulation, most of the teachers were supposed to get promoted. Okay, and that regulation had come into this space in 2019 itself. Okay, 2018 itself. Okay, that is known as Regulation 2018. Okay, and it was passed in 2019 in Delhi University, but it was not implemented because leftists always think that when everybody gets promotion, probably they would not listen to their they would not come to their call of doing strikes or anything. So they would keep you in a state in which you would be wanting something and you are not getting anything. Okay, once you are in this state, it is very easy for them to manipulate you. Okay, so that is why people were not allowed to get promoted. Okay, they did not help. So first in the first stage, because of Bhagi coming into Duta politics, the first thing would what would happen, that the negative strategies would not be there now. Okay, positive strategies would be there. Everything would be done with a positive set of mind. Okay, and you would go for, so all these things when it would be implemented, the syllabus and other things, those are I think it would happen in due course of time. Nobody would be able to deny that, and they would keep on shouting, also calling also, that something is bad is happening. The syllabus has gone bad, worse, and something like that. But let them do their work. We would keep on doing our work and making the syllabus relevant to our students, and making them somehow nationalist, with some nationalist feeling, which is missing these days in students.
Right, sir. So, sir, how can a nationalist team be created in this case for KMC, and with a mixture of professors and students with the like-minded ideology, and how can that become an example for other leading colleges, universities, and other educational institutions? And a supplementary to this question is, do you feel that grassroots level activities and undertakings by nationalist powers in campuses are facing a shortage or a lack of commitment and interest as compared to the high voltage activeness on social media platforms? What are the ways to increase and execute on ground work?
See, this is something that we all are concerned about, because the social media activism is very much in our favor, but that does not come to the level on the ground, basically, because things would change. Because I would give you just an example, that if you just search for something on Google search, you would see that the results would be always in the favor of leftist ideology. Okay, because the uh, manner in which they keep on writing. Okay, we do not write, we do not have a habit of writing. Okay, probably because of before social media, we were not allowed to have that space. Okay, because print media and other media were there, they were everything in their under their control, leftists control. Okay, so they were helping Congress's ideology, and helping themselves. Okay, but only after social media came into the picture, then only people from our ideology, they saw that even I am being heard, I am being listened to. But we are not used to that environment. Okay, so some people go overboard, and people I mean, start calling them as trolls. Okay, because those thoughts which were suppressed for years together, when they would come out in that manner itself. But what we need to do is that we should come out with those things in a proper way. We start writing. Okay, and so the more articles would be there in our favor, the more literature would be there in our favor. Then uh, the Google searches should give us our results, not their ideological writings. So that is all. Even if you would see, if you just Google search that what happened because of Mughal invasions. Okay, you would see always good things on the Google search. Okay, you would look for Aurangzeb. You would not see any bad thing about Aurangzeb in the first few searches. Okay, many 100 searches. You will have to find out it is very difficult to find out. I mean, from our point of view, so you'll have to start writing. Main thing is start writing books, writing articles, writing articles on internet, writing articles on print media. So once you start writing and keep on building this kind of literature, then only you can think of uh, putting some kind of a match to what they have done for centuries together. It is a centuries work, so you cannot think of countering it in 2, 4, 5 years, but we'll have to do it. So that way we can think of building a group in our college itself who can keep writing, who can discuss. Okay, and so writing articles in print media and electronic media in a proper way, not in a troll way. Troll way तो ठीक है, वो तो चलता रहता है. But you'll have to give logic. You'll have to do research. Okay, you'll have to cite something. So keep reading, and once you would start reading, you would see that there are enough evidences which are buried because of even Ambedkar. Ambedkar has said many things that favors us, but they are not in the market. They have not been given that kind of a space because of leftists only. So we can work on that. Okay, so if you start working on that, keep writing, keep in reading, then in 10 years time, I think we should be able to start matching their efforts.
Thank you, sir, for your insightful opinions and notions, and thank you for making this session so informative and interesting. I hope our viewers will be able to gain a lot of valid and relevant information from your vivid opinions. And I hope that people start uh, believing in facts and go ahead with searching for facts on internet and other reliable sources instead of believing each other on hearsay, and start criticizing each other without any concrete reasons.
Thank you, Vinayak. Thank you for giving me this patient hearing. I hope that I was able to uh, say something that uh, goes into some kind of a positive change in the mindset of students as well as those who listen to me. Thank you very much.
Definitely, sir. Thank you so much, sir.